So today we are announcing the release of our Power BI dashboard bundle for SCOM. And this is something, actually, we had a really relevant question this morning, somebody asking for something, well, very similar to the things that we're doing with our new Power BI dashboard bundle. We previewed it last week at the Microsoft Ignite show. We had fantastic response to that. And again, today we're announcing the availability of that dashboard bundle. And it's really designed to help you understand the state of your SCOM infrastructure. So it's, as you'll see in the demonstration, we look at a number of different characteristics of your infrastructure and help really highlight things that maybe aren't working properly, or things that require some attention, whether it's agent health or database or even churn within your environment, to help you pinpoint trouble spots that you might be seeing within your SCOM infrastructure. We have agent health, database health, churn, management pack activity. In fact, we have 10 dashboards in total that are part of this Power BI dashboard bundle for SCOM. I'm going to be showing this bundle to you in just a minute or two. As well, I'm going to be showing you some of the other work that we've done in Power BI, and it's I think you'll find that Power BI provides not only a great way of visualizing data. It has a number of really powerful and compelling visualization capabilities. But I think the real power, no pun intended, in Power BI is being able to bring together information from multiple sources to really help you put things into context. And we've done a number of projects in Power BI where we brought together information, perhaps from a ticketing system like ServiceNow, and overlaid that with alert information. So in that particular example, you can begin to see how well your service teams are responding to incidents that are occurring within your IT infrastructure. Power BI does a great job of rolling that information up to be able to give you an overview of the complete infrastructure, and then giving you the ability to drill down and look at more details. And so I like one of our core practices in our services business is Power BI. We've got some great expertise on data manipulation, data visualization, and again, complete a number of projects in that area. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a poll to see how many of you are currently using Power BI. And this is really, trying to put it in the context of the audience today, which is primarily IT pros. I think a lot of you folks are working with SCOM. Perhaps some of you are also working with Azure. And really interested to see the adoption of Power BI within your environment, if this is something that you use on a regular basis or not. And let's just give that poll a few more seconds to complete. Okay, so it looks like, let me just publish up the results here. It looks like a little over a quarter of you are currently using Power BI, which is great to see. Clearly, a bunch of you are not currently using Power BI. Maybe we can change that. Maybe we can give you some compelling reasons to start adopting Power BI. All right, so let's put that poll away. I'm back to showing my screen. So let's just switch over and start talking about some of the Power BI work that we've done. Here we go. Go over to my browser. I'm just going to make sure the audience view is seeing that, which it sure looks like it is. Okay, so first of all, the design of the solution, Power BI, is going directly to the SCOM database to retrieve information. The implementation of these Power BI dashboards is really quite straightforward. You simply have to change the source of data that you're using and point it towards your database, your SCOM database, as well as your SCOM data warehouse, be able to provide the credentials, and then these visuals will light up with the information from your environment. As I mentioned, we have 10 dashboards that are part of this particular bundle, and I can see, as you can see, I'm accessing this through a web browser currently, and using the web browser, clicking on the bottom middle of the pane, I can see all the available dashboards that are part of this particular bundle. And the initial dashboard we're looking at is looking at agents and an overview of the agents that are running within my SCOM environment. Now, it's pretty clear as you can look through some of the different labels that we're using here. This is anonymized information, so this is data that doesn't represent an active SCOM environment, and I'll get to that in a little bit. I'll show you information that's coming from a very small SCOM environment to show you what that's going to look like. So this is anonymized data. This first dashboard is designed to give you an overview of the state of your agents within your environment. And so I can see I have a number of unhealthy agents. I have some unknown states. I have some pending, and I have some agents without failover. Now, one of the things you'll find with each and every one of these dashboards is they're very interactive. So if I want to find information about a particular agent, for example, I can click on the agent, and you'll see the rest of the dashboard is going to get scoped to reflect information about that particular agent. As I look down, I also see some historical information. So I can see on a given day, I can see some information about the state of agents on a particular day within my environment. And again, as I move across, I can see various status of the agents within my particular infrastructure. Now let's go and take a look at the next dashboard, the Ops Manager database. And so this dashboard is designed to give me some insight into the health state of my OM database. And so we have a number of different status indicators over on the left-hand side of my screen, looking at the overall health of the database, the status of the disk, the log, grooming, etc. I can see we're trying to surface some really important metrics and characteristics about your Ops Manager database. I can see some detailed information in the middle pane, and over on the right-hand side, again, I can see some historical information about free space within both my OM database as well as my data warehouse. And similarly to the previous dashboard, if we want to scope the information in this particular report to a single, in this case, database, I can do that simply by clicking on that database name. Moving on, we see some information about the data warehouse, and again, very similar to the previous dashboard, designed to try and highlight potentially issues that might exist within your data warehouse. I can see that I do have a problem on one of my servers, perhaps it's a disk space issue. Let's look at the database. So we also track the status of your backups, making sure backups. If you see, for example, a backup taking a very, very long time to complete, perhaps it doesn't complete at all, will give you some indication of some issues with your OM database backup as well as your data warehouse backup. Now, one of the more interesting dashboards, as far as I'm concerned, is config churn, and this is really interesting as we see sort of a good reflection of activity within my SCOM environment. And so, in this upper left-hand quadrant, I see changes per class. I can see changes per management pack, and again, interactive in that I can drill down. Perhaps I want to understand why there's so much churn in this Hyper-V virtual machine. Clicking on that, you'll see changes by object name, changes by property. All get updated to reflect the changes in that particular class. Perhaps if I look at the Windows computer, I can see churn, a lot of churn related to IP address. And I can, oops, let's go back. A lot of churn related to IP address and server name. So, so there's configuration churn. I need to be mindful of the time here. Event noise, so this is looking at events that are being saved in the Ops Manager database. I can see a total number of events. I can see which event IDs are contributing the most activity to the database. You see I have some selections over here on the left-hand side where I can drill down on an individual agent, an individual event. I can look at some of the display names of the events that are transpiring within my environment. Monitor state changes is another good indication of activity level within your SCOM infrastructure. We, slice and dice that information a number of different ways to try and give you the insights to see if potentially there could be some challenges related to some of the state changes within the environment. And what else? Database tables. show you information about your ops manager database as well as data warehouse, and look at the tables and look at row counts, sizes, etc. And last, you can look at performance collection over the last 24 hours. So again, this suite of dashboards is really designed to be used likely on a daily basis to give you some indication of the overall state and health of your SCOM infrastructure. Very, very easy to implement and adopt within any environment. As I mentioned at the onset, we're looking here at anonymized data through a web browser. I could be looking using the Power BI interface here as well. Let me just move some of these fields over. And so here is an example of a Power BI dashboard set up against a lab that I've got where we see some non-anonymized data. As I move across the bottom, you can see some information related to, again, to each of those dashboards that I showed you previously. When we get to things like configuration churn or event noise, you'll see now I have a little bit more contextual information using live data as opposed to some of the anonymized data I showed in the earlier example. Okay, so that's a quick look at our new dashboard bundle for SCOM. Also wanted to show you just pretty quickly, just because again I have to be aware of the time. Some of the other work that we've done in Power BI, this is another set of anonymized dashboards, some work that we completed for a customer showing some alert information. So they were concerned about alerts, they were concerned about how alerts were, the volume of alerts, the characteristics of those alerts, what was being impacted by those alerts. And this really isn't designed to be a real-time operational view, but rather it's designed to give you more insights into your infrastructure to potentially help you do some planning on looking at services that are being impacted by various alerts, and perhaps help you do some proactive work to avoid some of those situations. And so in this particular example, I have this date slider that I can adjust. So if I only want to look at a particular window of time, I can do that. I can see at the very top, I can see warning alert severity. And as in the case of the other dashboards that I showed you earlier, we have the ability to drill down and filter the views based on, in this case, we're only looking at critical alerts. I can see the alert names, I can see the services impact, I can see the servers that were impacted by this. If I choose to further filter this information, I'll bring up this slicer panel where I can really filter this view to be much more specific to the scenario that I'm interested in, whether I want to look at an individual service as an example. Perhaps I have some organizational information that I've incorporated into this dashboard. Well, we've done that too in this particular example. Moving across, I can see an executive summary of alerts. In this case, in the work we did in this particular example, as I mentioned, we did incorporate some organizational information so I can see by division or perhaps by business unit the number of servers, the number of services. I can see information about the alerts that are occurring within each division. Perhaps I'm a service provider, either internal or perhaps I'm an MSP. I can use this information and convey out to my customer base kind of what's happening in their environment and get an overview of the activity and the state of the infrastructure within those organizations. And I'll just scroll across and show you some other information that we include in this, heartbeat alerts. So a lot of information, and again, Power BI is a great way of being able to visualize this information, to bring it together across multiple sources if that's a requirement. And as you can see, I think we've created some pretty interesting visualizations of some of this information. So that's the new Power BI bundle, and that's I showed you again some custom work that we've done as well, but this is something that is available as of today. And if you're interested, we encourage you to contact us, and we can discuss more about the product and how you can get a hold of it.